Every sunset, strange songs rose from the old river. The villagers said it was the wind, or the spirits, or their own imagination. But Zuri swore the voice singing with hers came from the crocodiles themselves. In a warm riverside village, tucked between thick wetlands and whispering papyrus reeds, lived a shy 16-year-old girl named Zuri. She was gentle, quiet, always listening to the wind, the rustle of grass, the hum of insects, and especially the flow of the river. Zuri didn't talk much, but she sang. Her voice carried the softness of dawn and the warmth of late evening, a sound that made even busy market women stop to smile. Yet Zuri never sang in front of a crowd. Each time someone encouraged her, she hid behind her mother's wrapper or escaped to the riverbank, her secret sanctuary. The river was the one place she felt free. Its waters shimmered gold at sunset, and the wetland creatures murmured like old friends welcoming her home. But there was something else about that river, something ancient, something that felt alive. And soon, Zuri would discover that her quiet songs were not as private as she believed. Every evening after chores, Zuri walked down the winding footpath to the water's edge, carrying nothing but a small calabash flute and a heart full of melodies. She sat on a flat rock shaped like a sleeping hippo. Birds dipped across the surface of the river. Frogs croaked in the shadows. The sky turned mango orange. And then she sang. Her voice floated over the waters, gentle and unforced. A song about her day, a song about her dreams, a song about the world as she wished it could be, soft, kind, safe. But one evening, something answered her. It began as a low hum beneath the water, a rumbling tone, deep and ancient. The reeds quivered. Her feet tingled on the rock. She stopped singing. The river fell silent. She sang again, just one trembling note. The hum answered. Zuri jumped to her feet, heart pounding like a talking drum. Her eyes scanned the river for danger. And that's when she saw it. Two golden eyes, low on the water's surface, a crocodile. Its body was mostly hidden, but its gaze held her like a question. Sing again. Zuri's first instinct was to run. Everyone in the village knew crocodiles were not to be trusted. Their jaws were strong, their patience endless. Children were warned never to go near the water alone. But the crocodile didn't move, didn't blink, didn't lunge. It only hummed. A deep, melodic vibration that pulsed through the water, like a drum beneath the earth. Zuri's fear slowly softened into awe. She sang another note, higher, brighter. The crocodile's hum followed her pitch, rising like an echo. Zuri whispered, "Are you singing with me?" The crocodile dipped its head gently, as if nodding. It made no threat, no sudden splash, only music. From that night on, the sunset songs became a ritual. Zuri and the crocodiles in strange harmony, their voices weaving through the wetland air. But magic, no matter how beautiful, rarely stays a secret for long. One evening, Zuri's younger brother, Tambo, followed her silently, suspicious about where she disappeared to every dusk. He hid behind tall elephant grass as she reached the river. He watched her sit on the rock, watched her lift her chin, watched her sing. And then he saw the crocodile rise from the water. Tambo nearly screamed, but he covered his mouth. His eyes stretched wide as bowls. The water shook with the crocodile's deep-toned reply. He ran home faster than a frightened rabbit. At first, the villagers laughed at his story. Crocodiles don't sing. Tambo is telling tales again. But Tambo insisted. He insisted so loudly that by the next day, half the village had heard the rumor. A crocodile sings with Zuri. People began watching her movements. Mothers whispered. Hunters frowned. Elders shook their heads in disbelief. Crocodiles were feared. Crocodiles were dangerous. Crocodiles were not friends. And so, suspicion crept into the air like mist rising from the marsh. Zuri felt it. She heard the whispers. And worst of all, she was forbidden to go to the river alone. But magic does not bow to rules. When fear takes root, it spreads like wildfire. The elders called an urgent meeting beneath the giant kapok tree. Villagers gathered, worried and restless. Elder Kwaku, the oldest among them, stood with a stern face. Crocodiles are sacred, he said, but they are also dangerous. We cannot allow a child to call them with songs. Another hunter added, next time, it may not harm. It may attack. Zuri's mother placed a protective arm around her daughter. My child means no harm. But others disagreed. Some suggested building a fence. Some suggested guarding the river. Some suggested killing the crocodile. Zuri's heart dropped. The thought of harming her strange, musical companion filled her with dread. Please, she whispered, stepping forward. The crocodile is not dangerous. It only sings. The crowd erupted in disbelief. You talk as if it understands. It is a beast. This is witchcraft. Zuri's voice trembled. I don't know why it sings, but it has never threatened me. It is gentle. It only listens. But the fear was too deep, too old, too tangled in generations of survival along a wild river. The elders reached a decision. If the crocodile returned, the hunters would act. Zuri felt as if the world had darkened. The river, her sanctuary, was now a battlefield. That evening, Zuri sat inside the hut, staring at the closed doorway. The hunters waited near the river, spears sharpened. The moon rose, pale and cold. Her mother whispered, "Stay inside, my child." But Zuri couldn't. She couldn't let fear destroy something born from kindness and music. So she slipped out quietly, moving like a shadow toward the river. The hunters did not see her. The night creatures called softly as she hurried across the footpath. When she reached the riverbank, she saw it immediately. The golden eyes, waiting patiently in the dark water. A crocodile friend. It hummed lightly in greeting. Zuri's eyes filled with tears. They want to hurt you, she whispered, because they don't understand. The crocodile tilted its head, sensing her sadness, and then more eyes emerged from the water. Not one crocodile, not two, but a whole family, gliding silently like leaping shadows. Zuri gasped. They were not coming to attack. They were coming to sing. They formed a half circle around a rock, rumbling a deep, resonant harmony that echoed through the wetlands. Zuri climbed onto the rock and lifted her chin. Her voice rose, soft at first, then fuller, braver. She sang a song of peace, a song of friendship, a song that carried her heart into the night. The crocodiles answered. Their humming vibrated through the water, through her bones, through the air itself. The harmony was powerful, an ancient connection between human and creature, rooted in respect rather than fear. But the hunters heard the sound. They rushed through the grass with spears raised. Zuri saw them and cried out, "Stop!" The crocodiles went silent. The river became still. Zuri faced the hunters with all the courage she had. These creatures have never harmed me, she said. They only respond to kindness. Please, listen. The leader frowned. Zuri, move away from them. No, she said, voice shaking but firm. You see danger. I see hearts that can soften. If you strike them, you strike something good, something rare. A rumble rose from the crocodiles. Not threatening, just deep and steady, like a drum of sincerity. The hunters hesitated. Zuri slowly walked to the water's edge and placed a hand on the surface. The lead crocodile approached. The hunters gasped. Spears twitched, but the creature simply lowered its head in a gesture that looked unmistakably like a bow. Zuri turned back to the villagers, gathering behind the hunters. Kindness, she said softly, can soften even the hardest hearts, even those covered in scales. The night grew silent. Then Elder Kwaku stepped forward. His voice was gentle now. If the river spirits have chosen you, he said, then perhaps we must learn to see them differently. The hunters lowered their spears. The villagers bowed their heads in respect. And the river breathed again. From that night on, fear loosened its grip on the village. The crocodiles remained wild and unpredictable, but they were no longer seen as monsters waiting to strike. The hunters kept their distance, but they no longer aimed their spears at shadows. Children came to the riverbank to listen to the mysterious sunset songs. The crocodiles never approached them, only Zuri. She continued her ritual every evening, singing her gentle melodies as the crocodiles hummed their ancient notes in reply. People said the music brought calm to the village, that arguments softened, that tempers cooled, that hearts opened. Even Zuri changed. She was no longer the quiet girl who hid behind her mother's wrapper. She became the girl who listened deeply, who bridged worlds, who reminded her people that even the fiercest beings could respond to gentleness. And when travelers passed through the wetlands, they often asked, "What is that strange music at sunset?" The villagers smiled and said, "Ah, that is Zuri singing with the crocodiles." And so, the river remained a place of wonder, where songs flowed between girl and creature, and where kindness proved stronger than fear. You've been listening to Our Tales. Welcome to Our Tales. Don't forget to subscribe and share the lesson you learned in the comments. Kindness can soften even the hardest hearts and build bridges where fear once lived.